at the feet of the Master. To those who knock, from the unreal, lead me to the real. From darkness, lead me to light. From death, lead me to immortality. These are not my words. They are the words of the Master who taught me. Without him, I could have done nothing, but through his help, I have set my feet upon the path. You also desire to enter the same path, so the words which he spoke to me will help you also if you will obey them. It is not enough to say that they are true and beautiful. A man who wishes to succeed must do exactly what is said. To look at food and say that it is good will not satisfy a starving man. He must put forth his hand and eat. So to hear the Master's words is not enough. You must do what he says, attending to every word, taking every hint. If a hint is not taken, if a word is missed, it is lost forever, for he does not speak twice. 4 qualifications there are for this pathway: discrimination, desirelessness, good conduct, love. What the Master has said to me on each of these I shall try to tell you. The first of these qualifications is discrimination. And this is usually taken as the discrimination between the real and the unreal, which leads men to enter the path. It is this, but it is also much more. And it is to be practiced, not only at the beginning of the path, but at every step of it, every day, until the end. You enter the path because you have learned that on it alone can be found those things which are worth gaining. Men who do not know work to gain wealth and power, but these are at most for one life only, and therefore unreal. There are greater things than these, things which are real and lasting. When you have once seen these, you desire those others no more. In all the world, there are only 2 kinds of people, those who know and those who do not know. And this knowledge is the thing which matters. What religion a man holds, to what race he belongs, these things are not important. The really important thing is this knowledge, the knowledge of God's plan for men. For God has a plan, and that plan is evolution. When once a man has seen that and really knows it, he cannot help working for it and making himself one with it, because it is so glorious, so beautiful. So because he knows he's on God's side, standing for good and resisting evil, working for evolution and not for selfishness. If he's on God's side, he is one of us. If he is on God's side, he is one of us, and it does not matter in the least whether he calls himself a Hindu or a Buddhist, a Christian or a Muslim, whether he is an Indian or an Englishman, a Chinese or a Russian. Those who are on his side know why they are here and what they should do, and they are trying to do it. All the others do not yet know what they should do, and so they often act foolishly and try to invent ways for themselves which they think will be pleasant for themselves, not understanding that all are one, and that therefore only what the one wills can ever be really pleasant for anyone. They are following the unreal instead of the real. Until they learn to distinguish between these two, They have not ranged themselves on God's side. And so this discrimination is the first step. But even when the choice is made, you must still remember that of the real and the unreal, there are many varieties, and discrimination must still be made between the right and the wrong, the important and the unimportant, the useful and the useless, the true and the false, the selfish and the unselfish. Between the right and wrong, it should not be difficult to choose. Those who wish to follow the Master have already decided to take the right at all costs. But the body and the man are two, and the man's will is not always what the body wishes. When your body wishes something, stop and think whether you really wish it, for you are God, and you will only what God wills. However, you must dig deep down into yourself to find the God within you, and listen to His voice, which is your voice. Do not mistake your bodies for yourself, neither the physical body, nor the astral, nor the mental. Each one of them will pretend to be the self in order to gain what it wants. But you must know them all and know yourself as their master. When there is work that must be done, the physical body wants to rest, to go out walking, to eat and drink. The man who does not know says to himself, I want to do these things, and I must do them. But the man who knows says, this that wants is not I, and it must wait a while. Often, when there is an opportunity to help someone, the body feels how much trouble it will be for me. Let someone else do it. But the man replies to his body, you shall not hinder me in doing good work. The body is your animal, the horse upon which you ride. Therefore you must treat it well and take good care of it. You must not overwork it. You must feed it properly on pure food and drink only, and keep it strictly clean always, even from the minutest speck of dirt. For without a perfectly clean and healthy body, you cannot do the arduous work of preparation. You cannot bear its ceaseless strain. But it must always be you who controls that body, not it that controls you. The astral body has its desires, dozens of them. It wants you to be angry, to say sharp words, to feel jealous, to be greedy for money, to envy other people their possessions, and to yield yourself to depression. All these things it wants, and many more. Not because it wishes to harm you, but because it likes violent vibrations and enjoys changing them constantly. However, you want none of these things, and therefore you must discriminate between your wants and your bodies. Your mental body wishes to think itself proudly separate, to think much of itself and little of others, even when you have turned it away from worldly things. It still tries to calculate for self, making you think of your own progress instead of focusing on the Master's work and helping others. When you meditate, it will try to distract you, making you think of many different things it desires instead of the one thing that truly matters to you. You are not this mind, but it is yours to use. For this reason, discrimination is necessary here as well. You must watch unceasingly, or you will fail. Between right and wrong, occultism knows no compromise. At whatever apparent cost, you must do that which is right. That which is wrong you must not do, no matter what the ignorant may think or say. You must study deeply the hidden laws of nature. Once you know them, arrange your life according to them, using reason and common sense at all times. You must also discriminate between the important and the unimportant. Be firm as a rock where right and wrong are concerned, but yield to others in things that do not matter. Always strive to be gentle and kindly, reasonable and accommodating, while leaving others the same full liberty that you need for yourself. Try to see what is truly worth doing. Remember, you must not judge by the size of the task. A small thing that is directly useful in the master's work is far better worth doing than a large thing the world might call good. You must distinguish not only the useful from the useless, but also the more useful from the less useful. Feeding the poor is a good, noble, and useful work. Yet feeding their souls is even nobler and more useful than feeding their bodies. Any rich man can feed the body, but only those who know can feed the soul. If you know, it is your duty to help others to know. However wise you may be already, on this path you have much to learn. There must be discrimination here as well, and you must think carefully about what is worth learning. All knowledge is useful, and one day you will have all knowledge. For now, while you have only part of it, take care that it is the most useful part. God is wisdom as well as love, and the more wisdom you have, the more you can manifest Him. Study then, but study first that which will most help you to help others. Work patiently at your studies, not so that men may think you wise, not even for the happiness of being wise, but because only the wise man can be wisely helpful. However much you wish to help, if you are ignorant, you may do more harm than good. You must distinguish between truth and falsehood, and learn to be true in thought, word, and deed. In thought first, and that is not easy, for there are in the world many untrue thoughts and foolish superstitions. No one who is enslaved by these can make progress. Therefore, you must not hold a thought simply because many other people hold it, or because it has been believed for centuries, or because it is written in some book men think sacred. You must think for yourself and judge whether it is reasonable. Remember that though 1,000 men may agree on a subject, if they know nothing about it, their opinion is of no value. He who would walk the path must learn to think for himself, for superstition is one of the greatest evils in the world, and one of the fetters from which you must free yourself entirely. Your thoughts about others must also be true. You must not think of them what you do not know. Do not suppose that they are always thinking of you. If a man does something that you think will harm you, or says something you think applies to you, do not immediately assume he meant to injure me. Most likely he never thought of you at all, for each soul has its own troubles, and its thoughts revolve chiefly around itself. If a man speaks angrily to you, do not think, he hates me, he wishes to wound me. Most likely, some other person or situation has made him angry, and because he happens to meet you, he turns his anger upon you. He is acting foolishly, for all anger is foolish, but you must not think untruly of him because of it. When you become a pupil of the master, You may always try the truth of your thought by comparing it with his. For the pupil is one with his master, and needs only to align his thought with the master's, to see at once whether it agrees. If it does not, it is wrong, and he changes it instantly. For the master's thought is perfect, because he knows all. Those who are not yet accepted by him cannot do this as fully, but they can greatly help themselves by asking often, what would the master think about this? What would the master say or do in these circumstances? You must never do, say, or think anything that you cannot imagine the master doing, saying, or thinking. You must also be true in speech, accurate, and without exaggeration. Never attribute motives to another. Only his master knows his thoughts, and he may be acting from reasons that have never entered your mind. If you hear a story against someone, do not repeat it. It may not be true. And even if it is kinder to say nothing. Think carefully before speaking, lest you fall into inaccuracy. Be true in action. Never pretend to be other than you are, for all pretense hinders the pure light of truth, which should shine through you as sunlight shines through clear glass. You must also discriminate between the selfish and the unselfish. Selfishness takes many forms, and when you think you have killed it in one form, it arises in another just as strongly. By degrees, however, you will become so full of thought for helping others that there will be no room, no time for any thought about yourself. You must also learn to distinguish the God in everyone and everything, no matter how evil he or it may appear on the surface. You can help your brother through that which you have in common with him, and that is the divine life. Learn how to arouse that in him. Learn how to appeal to that in him, and in this way you will save your brother from wrong. For many, the qualification of desirelessness is a difficult one. They feel that they are their desires, and that if their distinctive desires, likes, and dislikes are taken away, there will be no self left. But these are only those who have not seen the Master. In the light of his holy presence, all desires die, except the desire to be like him. Yet, before you meet him face to face, you can attain desirelessness, if you will. Discrimination has already shown you that the things most men desire, such as wealth and power, are not worth having. When this is truly felt, not just said, all desire for them ceases. So far, this is simple. It requires only understanding. But some forsake earthly aims only to gain heaven or personal liberation from rebirth. You must avoid this error. If you have forgotten self altogether, you cannot be thinking of when that self should be set free, or what kind of heaven it might have. Remember, all selfish desire binds, however high its objects may be. Until you rid yourself of it, you are not wholly free to devote yourself to the Master's work. When all self-centered desires are gone, there may still remain the desire to see the result of your work. If you help someone, you might want to see how much you have helped them. Perhaps you even wish them to see it too, and to be grateful. This is still desire and a lack of trust. When you pour out your strength to help, there will be a result, whether you can see it or not. If you know the law, you understand This must be so. Therefore, do what is right for the sake of the right, not for the hope of reward. Work for the sake of the work, not to see its result. Give yourself to the service of the world because you love it and cannot help but give yourself to it. Have no desire for psychic powers. They will come when the master knows it is best for you to have them. Forcing them too soon often brings trouble. Many times, those who acquire them prematurely are misled by deceitful nature spirits, or they become conceited and think they cannot err. In any case, the time and strength spent gaining such powers might be better used to help others. These powers will come naturally in the course of development. They must come. If the master deems it useful for you to have them sooner, he will tell you how to unfold them safely. Until then, it is better to be without them. Guard against certain small desires common in daily life. Never wish to shine or to appear clever. Avoid the desire to speak. It is better to speak little. Better still to say nothing unless you are sure that what you wish to say is true, kind, and helpful. Before speaking, think carefully. If your words lack these qualities, do not speak them. Even now, practice thinking carefully before speaking. For when you reach initiation, you must watch every word to avoid saying what must not be told. Much common talk is unnecessary and foolish. Gossip in particular is wicked. Learn to listen rather than to talk. Do not offer opinions unless directly asked for them. One statement of the qualifications is to know, to dare, to will, and to be silent. The last of these is the hardest. And another common desire which you must sternly repress is the wish to meddle in other men's business. What another man does, says, or believes is no affair of yours, and you must learn to let him absolutely alone. He has full right to free thought, speech, and action, as long as he does not interfere with others. You claim the freedom to do what you think proper, and you must allow the same freedom to him. When he exercises it, you have no right to talk about him. If you think he is doing wrong and can politely tell him why you think so, it is possible you may convince him. But there are cases where even this would be improper interference. On no account must you gossip to a third person about the matter. That is an extremely wicked action. If you see cruelty to a child or animal, it is your duty to interfere. If someone breaks the law, inform the authorities. If you are charged with teaching someone, it may be your duty to gently point out their faults. Otherwise, mind your own business and cultivate silence. The 6 points of conduct which are specially required are given by the master as self-control as to the mind, self-control in action, tolerance, cheerfulness, one-pointedness, confidence. Self-control as to the mind. The qualification of desirelessness shows that the astral body must be controlled, and this applies to the mental body as well. It means control of temper, so that you may feel no anger or impatience. It also means control of the mind itself, so that your thoughts remain calm and unruffled. Furthermore, it involves control of the nerves through the mind, so they may be as little irritable as possible. This last point can be difficult because as you prepare yourself for the path, your body naturally becomes more sensitive. Its nerves are more easily disturbed by a sound or shock and feel pressure acutely. Nevertheless, you must do your best. A calm mind also requires courage, so that you may face the trials and difficulties of the path without fear. It requires steadiness, so you may make light of the troubles that come into everyone's life and avoid the incessant worry over small things which occupies so many people. The Master teaches that it does not matter what happens to a man from the outside. Sorrows, troubles, sicknesses, and losses must all be as nothing to him. These must not be allowed to affect the calmness of his mind. They are the result of past actions, and when they come, you must bear them cheerfully. Remember that all evil is transitory, and your duty is to remain always joyous and serene. These troubles belong to your previous lives, not this one, and you cannot alter them. Therefore, it is useless to worry about them. Instead, focus on what you are doing now, as this will shape the events of your next life and that you can alter. Never allow yourself to feel sad or depressed. Depression is wrong because it infects others and makes their lives harder, which you have no right to do. Therefore, if it ever comes to you, throw it off at once. In another way, you must also control your thoughts and prevent them from wandering. Whatever you are doing, fix your thoughts upon it so the task is perfectly done. Do not let your mind be idle. Instead, keep good thoughts always in the background, ready to come forward the moment your mind is free. Use your thought power every day for good purposes and become a force in the direction of evolution. Each day, think of someone you know who is in sorrow, suffering, or in need of help, and pour out loving thoughts toward them. Hold your mind back from pride, for pride comes only from ignorance. A man who does not know thinks that he is great, that he has accomplished this or that important task. However, the wise man knows that only God is great, and that all good work is done by God alone. Self-control in action. If your thought is what it should be, you will have little trouble with your action. Yet remember, to be useful to mankind, thought must result in action. There must be no laziness, but constant activity in good work. However, it must be your own duty that you do, not someone else's, unless with their permission, and for the purpose of helping them. Leave every man to do his own work in his own way. Be always ready to offer help where it is needed, but never interfere. For many people, the most difficult thing in the world to learn is to mind their own business. Yet, that is exactly what you must do, because you try to take up higher work. You must not forget your ordinary duties. Until these are done, you are not free for other service. You should undertake no new worldly duties. But those you have already taken upon yourself, you must fulfill perfectly. These include all clear and reasonable duties that you yourself recognize, not imaginary ones that others try to impose on you. If you are to be His, you must do ordinary work better than others, not worse, because you must do that also for His sake. You must feel perfect tolerance for all and take a sincere interest in the beliefs of those from other religions, just as much as in your own. Their religion is a path to the higher, just as yours is. To help all, you must understand all. To achieve this perfect tolerance, you must first free yourself from bigotry and superstition. You must learn that no ceremonies are necessary. Otherwise, you may think yourself better than those who do not perform them. Yet, you must not condemn others who still cling to ceremonies. Let them follow their path as they will. Only they must not interfere with you who know the truth. They must not try to impose upon you what you have outgrown. Make allowances for everything. Be kindly toward everything. Now that your eyes are opened, some of your old beliefs and ceremonies may seem absurd. Perhaps they truly are. Yet though you can no longer take part in them, respect them for the sake of the good souls to whom they still hold meaning. These beliefs and ceremonies have their place and their use. They are like the double lines that guided you as a child to write straight and evenly, until you learn to write far better and more freely. Without them, there was a time when you needed them, but now that time has passed. A great teacher once wrote, "When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things." Yet he who has forgotten his childhood and lost sympathy with children is not the man who can teach or help them. So look kindly, gently, and tolerantly upon all, Buddhists, Hindus, Jains, Jews, Christians, or Muslims alike. Cheerfulness. You must bear your karma cheerfully, whatever it may be. Take it as an honor that suffering comes to you, as it shows that the lords of karma think you worth helping. However hard it may be thankful that it is no worse. Remember you are of little use to the master until your evil karma is worked out and you are free. By offering yourself to him, you have asked that your karma may be accelerated. As a result, you now work through in 1 or 2 lives what might otherwise have taken 100. To make the best of it, you must bear it cheerfully and gladly. Another point to consider is letting go of all feelings of possession. Karma may take from you the things you love most, even the people you cherish most deeply. Even then, you must remain cheerful and ready to part with anything and everything. Often, the master needs to pour out his strength upon others through his servant. He cannot do so if the servant yields to depression. For this reason, cheerfulness must be your rule. One-pointedness. The one thing you must set before you is to do the master's work. Whatever else may arise, that must remain your priority. Yet nothing else can truly stand in your way. For all helpful and unselfish work is the master's work, and you must do it for his sake. You must give your full attention to each task as you perform it, so that it is your very best. A teacher once wrote, "Whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men." Consider how you would complete a task if you knew the master were coming at once to examine it. That is the standard to which you must hold all your work. Those who know most will understand the depth of this verse. Another, much older teaching states, "Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might." One-pointedness also means that nothing, not even for a moment, shall turn you from the path upon which you have entered. No temptations, no worldly pleasures, and no worldly affections must ever draw you aside. You must become one with the path itself, so much so that it is part of your very nature. You follow it without needing to think about it and cannot stray. You, the monad, have chosen this path, and to break away from it would be to break away from yourself. Confidence. You must trust your master, and you must trust yourself. If you have seen the master, you will trust him to the uttermost through many lives and deaths. If you have not yet seen him, you must still strive to realize him and trust him, because if you do not, even he cannot help you. Without perfect trust, there cannot be the perfect flow of love and power. You must also trust yourself. You may think you know yourself too well, but if you feel this way, you do not truly know yourself. What you know is only the weak outer husk, which has often fallen into the mire. But you, the real you, are a spark of God's own fire. God, who is Almighty, resides in you. And because of that, there's nothing you cannot do if you will. Say to yourself, what man has done, man can do. I am a man, yet also God in man. I can do this thing, and I will. For your will must be like tempered steel if you are to tread the path. Love. Of all the qualifications, love is the most important. If it is strong enough in a man, it compels him to acquire all the other qualifications, and without it, all the rest would never be sufficient. Often love is translated as an intense desire for liberation from the cycle of births and deaths, and for union with God. But to describe it in this way sounds selfish and gives only part of the meaning. Love is not so much a desire as it is will, resolve, and determination. To produce its result, this resolve must fill your whole nature, leaving no room for any other feeling. It is in truth the will to be one with God, not so you may escape weariness and suffering, but because your deep love for Him inspires you to act with Him and as He does. This means two things. First, that you must be careful to do no harm to any living thing. Second, that you must always be watching for an opportunity to help. First, to do no harm. There are three sins which cause more harm than anything else in the world: gossip, cruelty, and superstition. Because they are sins against love. A person who would fill their heart with the love of God must watch ceaselessly against these three. See what gossip does. It begins with evil thought, and that in itself is a crime. In everyone and in everything there is good, and in everyone and in everything there is evil. Either of these can be strengthened by thinking of it. In this way, we can help or hinder evolution. We can do the will of the Logos or resist him. If you think of the evil in another, you commit three wicked acts at the same time. You fill your surroundings with evil thought instead of good thought, adding to the sorrow of the world. You strengthen and feed it, making your brother worse instead of better. Often, however, the evil is not there, and you have only imagined it. Your wicked thought then tempts your brother to do wrong. If he is not yet perfect, you may even make him what you have imagined him to be. You fill your own mind with evil thoughts instead of good ones. In doing so, you hinder your growth and make yourself, for those who can see, an ugly and painful object rather than a beautiful and lovable one. Not content with harming himself and his victim, the gossip tries to make others partners in his crime. Eagerly he tells his wicked tale, hoping others will believe it. They then join him in pouring evil thought upon the poor sufferer. This happens day after day, not by one person, but by thousands. Do you begin to see how base and terrible a sin this is? You must avoid it entirely. Never speak ill of anyone. Refuse to listen when others speak ill of someone else, and instead gently say, perhaps this is not true. And even if it is kinder not to speak of it. Next, cruelty. Cruelty can be intentional or unintentional. Intentional cruelty is deliberately causing pain to another living being, and it is the greatest of all sins, the act of a devil rather than a man. You might think no man could do such a thing, but men have done it often and continue to do so daily. Inquisitors did it. Many religious people have done it in the name of their religion. Vivisectors do it. Some schoolmasters do it habitually. These people excuse their brutality by claiming it is the custom. But a crime does not cease to be a crime because many commit it. Karma does not account for custom, and the karma of cruelty is the most terrible of all. In India especially, there can be no excuse for such customs, as the duty of harmlessness is well known to all. The fate of the cruel also falls upon those who go out to kill God's creatures and call it sport. Such things I know you would not do. For the sake of the love of God, when the opportunity arises, you will speak clearly against them. Yet cruelty is not only in action, it can also exist in speech. A man who speaks a word with the intent to wound another commits this crime. That too I know you would not do. However, sometimes a careless word can cause as much harm as a malicious one. Therefore, you must guard yourself against unintentional cruelty. Unintentional cruelty often arises from thoughtlessness. A man filled with greed and avarice may not consider the suffering he causes by paying too little or by half starving his wife and children. Another, driven by lust, cares little how many souls and bodies he ruins to satisfy his desires. Sometimes, just to save himself a few minutes' trouble, a man neglects to pay his workmen on time, causing them unnecessary hardship. Much suffering arises simply from carelessness, from forgetting to consider how an action will affect others. Yet karma never forgets, and it takes no account of the fact that men forget. If you wish to walk the path, you must always think of the consequences of your actions, lest you be guilty of thoughtless cruelty. Lastly, superstition. Superstition is another great evil that has caused terrible cruelty. A man who is a slave to it despises those who are wiser and tries to force them to follow his ways. Think of the awful slaughter caused by the superstition that animals must be sacrificed, or by the belief that man needs flesh for food. Consider the treatment superstition has inflicted upon the depressed classes in our beloved India. This shows how such an evil quality can breed heartless cruelty, even among those who know the duty of brotherhood. Many crimes have been committed in the name of the God of love, driven by the nightmare of superstition. Be very careful, therefore, that no trace of it remains in you. These three great crimes, gossip, cruelty, and superstition, you must avoid entirely, for they are fatal to all progress. They sin against love. Yet it is not enough to refrain from evil. You must also be active in doing good. You must be so filled with the intense desire to serve that you are always on the watch to render help to everyone around you, not just to men, but also to animals and plants. Begin by rendering service in small things every day, forming the habit so you will not miss the rare opportunity when a great thing offers itself to be done. If you yearn to be one with God, it is not for your own sake, but so that you may be a channel through which His love flows to reach your fellow beings. He who walks the path does not exist for himself, but for others. He has forgotten himself entirely so that he may serve them. He is like a pen in the hand of God, through which God's thought flows to find expression in the world. Without the pen, this expression would not be possible. Yet, at the same time, he is also like a living plume of fire, radiating the divine love that fills his heart. The wisdom that enables you to help, the will that directs that wisdom, and the love that inspires the will, these are your qualifications. Will, wisdom, and love are three aspects of the Logos, and you who seek to serve him must embody these aspects in the world. Superstition is another mighty evil that has caused much terrible cruelty. A man who is a slave to it despises those who are wiser and tries to force them to follow his ways. Think of the awful slaughter caused by the superstition that animals must be sacrificed, and by the even more cruel superstition that man needs flesh for food. Consider the treatment superstition has inflicted upon the depressed classes in our beloved India, and see how this evil quality can breed heartless cruelty, even among those who understand the duty of brotherhood. Many crimes have been committed in the name of the God of love, driven by the nightmare of superstition. Be very careful, therefore, that no trace of it remains in you. These three great crimes, gossip, cruelty, and superstition, you must avoid entirely, for they are fatal to all progress because they sin against love. Yet it is not enough merely to refrain from evil. You must also be active in doing good. You must be so filled with the intense desire to serve that you are always on the watch to offer help to everyone around you, not only to humans, but also to animals and plants. Begin with small acts of service every day to form the habit, so you will not miss the rare opportunity when something great arises to be done. If you yearn to be one with God, it is not for your own sake, but so that you may become a channel through which His love flows to reach your fellow beings. He who walks the path exists not for himself, but for others. He has entirely forgotten himself so that he may serve them. He is like a pen in the hand of God, through which God's thought flows to find expression in the world. Without the pen, this expression would not be possible. At the same time, he is like a living plume of fire, radiating the divine love that fills his heart, the wisdom that enables you to help, the will that directs that wisdom, and the love that inspires the will. These are your qualifications. Will, wisdom, and love are three aspects of the Logos. And you who wish to serve Him must show forth these aspects in the world.